Unbelievable twist, Maid wakes up to CEO's shocking breakfast surprise after working 3 jobs. The day started like any other for Lily, the overworked maid. The sun barely peeked through the crumpled curtains of her tiny studio apartment, yet she leaped from bed with adrenaline pumping. Today was the day she would uncover the truth behind the whispers echoing through the luxurious hotel where she worked. Could it be that the CEO had a hidden agenda? A glimmer of hope danced in her tired heart as she embarked on her day, running 3 jobs to keep her dreams alive, but something felt different. As she scrubbed floors, she couldn't shake the eerie sense that eyes were watching her, sharp eyes filled with secrets. And then there were the strange tiles underfoot, glimmering shades of crimson and gold that seemed to hum with an otherworldly energy. Had those tiles seen things? Were they tied to the undercurrent of unrest she felt? Lily's heart raced. She was caught in a web of mystery. At the end of her shift, she finally mustered enough courage to approach the CEO's office. As she brushed past other employees, the glances exchanged were coated with disbelief, fear, and curiosity. Whispers floated about like dark smoke. Is she brave enough? Does she know what lurks behind those doors? They couldn't know. She was ready to confront the truth. As she pushed open the grand door, the air crackled around her. Inside, the room was a mix of opulence and chaos. Papers scattered across the desk, a golden breakfast spread laid out like a sacrificial offering. But wait, the sight of the CEO's familiar silhouette sent chills down her spine. He stood there, his cold eyes fixed on her, a smirk twisting his lips. It was an invitation or a trap. The aroma of sizzling bacon filled the air, blending with a sense of dread filling her chest. Her throat tightened with fear. What was he planning? Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As she stood frozen, the CEO leaned closer, his voice a low whisper laced with threat and charm. I've been waiting for you, Lily, he said, eyes glinting with something dark and exciting. I have an offer you can't refuse, and it might just change everything you thought you knew. The weight of his words hung in the air. What could he mean? And why was she suddenly filled with both fear and an undeniable thrill? Her heart raced, knowing this was just the beginning. What lay ahead? The thought consumed her, intoxicating and terrifying. Lily felt her pulse quicken, an electric tingle racing through her veins. His words, laced with both promise and peril, echoed in her mind as she struggled to find her voice. She couldn't just stand there. This was her chance, yet it felt like a dare. What do you want from me? She managed to say, hiding the tremor in her voice. With a manicured finger, the CEO gestured to the breakfast spread, the golden bacon glistening like treasure. Take a seat, Lily. Let us talk business. His smirk deepened, revealing a hint of something sinister beneath his polished exterior. Reluctantly, she sat at the edge of the chair, her skin prickling under his stare. As you know, he began, the smoothness of his tone contrasting with the unease in the room, this hotel isn't just a place for luxury. It's a front for something more lucrative. Her mind screamed at her to run, but curiosity chained her to the seat. What do you mean lucrative? He leaned in, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. There are secrets in this establishment, Lily, secrets that could turn your life around if you're willing to take a risk. Her heart pounded violently against her ribs. His words were a tangled web, the strands weaving together her hopes and fears. What kind of secrets? She asked, unable to back down now. A distant smile played on his lips. Information that can make someone very powerful or very dead. And I need someone like you to help me protect it. Lily's mind raced. Secret operations. Shadows lurking in the hallways. All she had wanted was to serve her shifts, pay her bills, and make it through the day. Now she was being drawn into a dark world she barely understood. Why me? You blend in. You're unnoticed by most. Perfect for gathering intel without raising any alarms. His eyes glinted menacingly. Are you in? No. She exclaimed, her voice shaking. But with each passing second, a small, dangerous part of her wondered if this was the opportunity she had been searching for. I don't want anything to do with whatever this is. His expression hardened. Think about it, Lily. Remaining a maid forever. Or stepping into the light where more power lies, where you could finally make a difference. The door creaked, snapping her out of their heated exchange. Lily turned, a figure loomed in the doorway. An employee, wide-eyed and pale. Before she could react, he blurted, "Sir, there's been a breach. Someone's asking questions." The CEO's eyes flew to hers, a wildness sparking within. "Stay quiet, and maybe you can still walk away from this." Fear twisted in her stomach, but at that moment, something else began to ignite a flicker of rebellion. She didn't know how deep the rabbit hole went, but she could smell the danger. She had a choice to make, one that could change everything. "Lily, you need to choose now," the CEO urged, tension crackling in the air. As the gravity of the situation sank in, she felt an unusual thrill of empowerment flow through her. "I want to be pushed into anything," she said fiercely. Fear and adrenaline coursed through her, propelling her decision-making. The CEO's smirk faltered momentarily. "Are you really prepared to walk away from this?" Lily took a deep breath, her mind racing. What if I'm not just a maid? What if I'm something more? His expression darkened, but before he could respond, the door swung open wider. 2 security guards stepped inside, eyes sharp and scanning the room. "What the hell is going on?" One of them barked, his voice booming. Lily's heart led her instinctively toward the door, but the CEO's voice stopped her in her tracks. "Stay with me, and you could become so much more." Her breath caught in her throat. What choice would she make, and would it lead her into danger or empowerment? Caught between the path of safety and the allure of danger, the moment hung heavy in the air. How far was she willing to go? The answer would surface, but the true question loomed larger still, as the chaos erupted around her. What would become of her resolve? The guards stepped closer, their muscular frames blocking the exit. Lily felt her heart drop into her stomach. The tension in the air thickened like a storm cloud about to burst. She glanced at the CEO, whose expression flickered between annoyance and calculation. He built this empire on secrecy, and she was just an employee caught in a game far above her pay grade. "What breach?" he demanded, his voice low and menacing. The guards shifted slightly, attempting to gauge the situation. It was as if a silent communication passed between them, a dance of muscles and tension. "Someone's looking into our operations, sir," the employee stammered. They've connected some dots. "We need to take action." Lily's throat felt dry. She knew this wasn't about a broken window or missing linens. This was something much darker, and she could sense the danger pulsing in the room. "Get the others," the CEO barked, cutting through the silence. "I want a meeting in 5 minutes. We're not letting anyone expose what we have here." It was a command that echoed with authority, a power she felt both terrified and drawn to. Her instincts screamed at her to bolt, but a strange curiosity anchored her to the spot. What was this operation worth? What were they hiding? With a quick nod, the guards hurried out, leaving her alone with the CEO in a thick fog of unease. His dark eyes fixated on her, examining, weighing her worth in a way that made the hair on her neck bristle. "What do you know about loyalty, Lily?" he asked, leaning back in his chair, the polished surface gleaming under the overhead lights. "You've been here long enough to see how things operate. Everyone has a choice. It's what you do with that choice that defines you." Her knees started to tremble. What if I choose to walk away? She countered, though her voice wavered. Oh no. His smile was chilling, devoid of warmth. You're too deeply entwined now. Leaving isn't an option. She locked eyes with him, determination hardening inside her. You don't control me. I choose my path. Perhaps you should think again, he said, his voice unhurried yet dripping with menace. Once this breach is handled, you might find your life changes. For better or worse, all depends on your ability to adapt. Could she truly trust him? Everything in her shouted to distrust him, but his words wrapped around her mind like a vine, squeezing tighter. The dreams of a better life began to flash before her. The prospect of power, freedom, the very things she craved. As another wave of guards rushed in, reports flooding from their mouths, she felt the walls closing in. The CEO stood up, his presence overwhelming. Stick with me, Lily. You might just come out alive with something more than you ever imagined. They're coming for you, sir, one of the guards said urgently. They're looking for the surveillance records. The CEO glanced back at Lily, a hint of excitement igniting in his gaze. This is it, Lily. Your next choice. Are you in? Her pulse raced like a roller coaster, oscillating between dread and exhilaration. Before she could respond, a loud crash erupted from beyond the office door. She flinched as a hooded figure barged inside, wielding a gun. Everyone on the ground. Now. Pandemonium erupted. The room fractured with panic. Lily's organs twisted into knots as she ducked for cover, heart racing. The CEO's face morphed into one of fury and immediate strategy, but for her, everything slowed down to a surreal crawl. As the figure pointed the gun at the CEO, she realized the true extent of the chaos they were wrapped in. Lily's heart screamed with defiance, battling the sudden flood of fear, the adrenaline surging through her veins. Was this the danger she had inadvertently stepped into? Get down! Someone shouted again, but her next move seemed more significant than the gunfire. Her choice hung in the air, electric and alive. What would she decide in this moment of sheer terror? Would she help the man who had drawn her into this whirlwind, or would she seize her chance to escape the shadowy clutches of a life she didn't choose? The answer would change everything. Lily crouched low, heart pounding against her ribs as the hooded figure's demand echoed through the room. Fear curled its icy fingers around her throat. Every instinct told her to retreat, to hide. But something deeper stirred within her, a flicker of bravery, a desperate need to break free from what felt like shackles. The gunman shifted his focus, eyes darting from the CEO to the gathering guards. Tension crackled in the air like static before a storm. Time stretched unbearably, and the chaos of bodies scrambling for cover seemed to slow, every second dissected by her racing thoughts. Do it. Let her go. Lily heard one of the guards yell, voice cracking with urgency. The gravity of the moment pulled at her. Could she risk everything for a chance at freedom? In a heartbeat, Lily made her choice. She scrambled from behind the large desk, surprising herself with the boldness of her action. Wait. Just let him go. Her voice rang out, shaky but loud enough to make the gunman falter. What? The gunman turned towards her, the gun lowering slightly, confusion flickering across his masked face. Do you really want to make this worse? She pressed, stepping forward despite the growing sense of danger. You'll ruin everything. Just take what you came for and leave. You don't need to hurt anyone. The CEO's eyes widened, a mixture of fear and disbelief swirling within them. He didn't expect her to put herself in harm's way. Lily, stay back. He growled, terror coating his voice. No. She shot back, feeling a surge of rebellious courage. This is my life too. The gunman hesitated for a split second, his grip on the weapon wavering. It was a moment, a small window she had to exploit. Listen to me, Lily continued, forcing her voice to stay steady. You can walk out of here. You can get away if you don't turn this into a bloodbath. The guards exchanged wary glances, their faces tight, but they too seemed momentarily captivated by her audacity. The gunman glared, assessing her, still unsure. And why the hell would I trust you? Because I know they've got something more valuable than you realize, Lily replied, desperation pushing her words forward. I'll help you. Just let him go. Her heart raced, a wild drum demanding she hold her ground. The risk felt meteoric, but if there were any flicker of hope, she had to chase it. Enough. The CEO barked again, clearly frustrated, but Lily was no longer listening. In this fractured moment, a connection blossomed, a fragile bond of mutual desperation with the person who held the power of life and death. What was the CEO really hiding? What did the gunman need? Suddenly, a distant rumble from outside grew louder, pulling all their attentions. The sound of approaching sirens crept in, a low but persistent wail. It sent fresh adrenaline rushing through her, a wake-up call. Time's running out. One of the guards shouted, his voice slicing through the tension like a knife. Lily quickly turned back to the hooded figure. You need to decide. Now. He frowned, shifting as if considering his options. But she knew this was a gamble, everything hung in the balance. Would he take the bait? And if he did, what would he ask for in return? The air thrummed with uncertainty, each breath thick with the possibility of violence or escape. Then he laughed, a harsh, mirthless sound. What's so valuable here that you'd risk your life for? Lily opened her mouth to respond, but the silence pressed heavily, and all eyes were on her, waiting for another play to tip the scales. The walls felt like they were closing in, but somehow, she could almost see the way out. Would she change the script of her life forever, or was this where everything fell apart? As the sirens blared louder, the choice remained. Would she lead them to freedom, or to greater chaos? The gunman's gaze narrowed, piercing through the thick tension in the room. Lily's heart raced as she felt every second stretch, each beat echoing like a countdown ticking down to calamity. She struggled for a response, the silence stretching taut and painful, pressing in as the world outside continued its chaotic symphony of sirens. Valuable? He repeated, laughing harshly. What could a pathetic little office like this possibly have? I don't need any empty promises. Determined, Lily pressed on. You're wrong. There are things here you haven't considered. Secrets like the ones held in that vault over there. She pointed toward the steel door, its lock heavy and imposing. What if I told you there's something in there that could change everything? The gunman's eyes flicked towards the vault, uncertainty clouding his expression. For a moment, hope surged in Lily's chest. Maybe she had found a crack in his armor. Then, the guards shifted, muttering to each other about the potential for an escape. The gunman's grip tightened on his weapon, a telltale sign that any flicker of doubt could ignite his anger. Shut up. He spat at the nearest guard, his voice low and dangerous. Don't even think about moving. The guards froze, muscles straining, eyes darting to Lily. The clock was ticking, every second a lifetime of desperation. They needed an opening. There's money. Information. Something that can be traded, something that hasn't been touched. In her mind, she grasped the fragments of risk and reward, ready to weave them into her desperate plea. You could walk away and never look back. Isn't that what you want? The gunman hesitated again, lured by the prospect of something more than a simple robbery. The remaining guards remained tense, but Lily felt daring. Let him go. We'll talk. Just give us a moment. Now you're walking a fine line, he warned, eyes narrowing like a predator closing in on prey. You have no idea what I'm capable of. Then prove you're not just a thug hiding behind a mask. Show that you're more than this moment. I can help you. She stepped forward, a pulse of bravery surging through her. The gunman's breath hitched. Would he take the bait? In that moment, the CEO, who had been watching the exchange with wide eyes, seized a chance. Don't listen to her. She doesn't know what she's talking about. His voice cracked in panic, the fear spilling into the air like poison. Lily shot him a glare that could slice through steel. Shut up. I'm trying to save us. You think you're a hero? The gunman snarled, slowly lifting the weapon. Uncertainty cracked like thunder in his eyes. Suddenly, a loud crash rang out from the hallway, a door bursting open, crashing into the wall. The sirens outside escalated, but now there were shouts, heavy footsteps, a commotion that electrified the atmosphere. Lily's heart raced as she realized their time was slipping away. Listen, she said, her voice barely above a whisper, eyes locking onto his. Whatever happens next, it doesn't have to end in violence. I can help you, just let him go. You deserve better. But the tension snapped. The gunman glared at her, his uncertainty spiraling into rage. Enough games. What's it going to be? You throw me a lifeline, I let him go, but you're left up to chance. What am I supposed to believe? He shifted the gun, breath finding a ragged edge, and suddenly something in him seemed poised to explode. Lily felt the breath catch in her throat as the urgency swelled. The guards were moving, edging closer in their own tension-filled standoff. Would they make it? Or was this the moment everything shattered into chaos? Choose. The gunman roared, but before anyone could react, the door burst open wider, revealing another figure, a flash of a uniform. The moment hung like a seesaw, teetering between chaos and resolution as Lily's breath caught and her gaze darted around the room, desperate for some miraculous salvation. Was it too late? And just like that, the walls rattled as footsteps sounded, a flood of officers storming in and shifting the tide in an instant. Would they bring peace? Or push this precarious situation into the dark depths of violence? Lily's mind raced with possibilities, adrenaline pumping. The outcome was uncertain, and the stakes felt higher than ever. Stay back. She yelled, scrambling to shield the CEO. The moment had boiled over, and whatever would emerge next would change everything or end it all. Did she have what it took to turn the torrent into safety, or was she standing on the edge of catastrophe? The officers flooded the room like a wave crashing on the shore, their shouts harsh and urgent, drowning out the chaos. Lily squinted, trying to make sense of the tumult. Hands raised on both sides, the air thickened with tension. Guns were drawn, and for the briefest moment, all eyes were locked on the gunman. Put the weapon down. One officer shouted, his voice booming, cutting through the panic. The gunman's eyes darted between the stream of uniforms and Lily, confusion knitting his brow. Back off. He yelled, finger twitching on the trigger. I'll shoot him. Lily's heart dropped. She couldn't let that happen. Please, don't. She cried, stepping forward. No one needs to get hurt. The gunman hesitated, fighting a visible internal battle. For a split second, she saw something crack in his steely demeanor. Maybe he was listening. Let's talk this out. It's just a misunderstanding. Lily implored, her voice steady, fighting against the rising tide of despair. You don't have to make this worse. Let him go. Before he could answer, the doors flung wide open again. Another officer, taller and brawnier than the rest, strode in. He moved with practiced assertiveness, and every tangible conversation faded away as he positioned himself between the gunman and the hostages. Get that gun away from him. The new officer commanded, zeroing in on the threat. In the chaos, a flicker of recognition crossed the gunman's face. Officer Collins, I should be known. The implication struck hard. This wasn't just a random standoff. There was history. Lily's curiosity piqued amidst the confusion. What kind of history could lead to this moment? But there was no time to think further. Each second stretched, a thread dangling over the chasm of violence, ready to snap. Let us de-escalate, okay? Officer Collins spoke, his tone shifting from commanding to coaxing. You've got the upper hand. But it doesn't have to end like this. You can walk away from the madness. The gunman shook his head, wild eyes darting to each face in the room. You don't understand. They're the reason I'm in this position. He pointed a trembling finger toward the CEO, who flinched back against the wall, fear written all over his face. What do you mean? Collins pressed, inching closer while keeping his weapon lowered. Talk to me. Talk. What's the point? They took everything from me. My life, my family. I'm nothing but a ghost to them. Lily felt a jolt of empathy rush through her. Behind the anger and chaos, a man was trapped. Please, she interjected, urgency lacing her words. What do you want? What's it going to take? The gunman faltered, his grip loosening slightly. Perhaps it was the sincerity in Lily's voice or the realization that the room was more than a hostage situation, it was a mirror reflecting his pain. I just want someone to listen, he muttered, voice cracking. For the first time, vulnerability seeped through the cracks in his bravado. Just then, the CEO found his voice, booming with bravado, listen. Why should we listen to you? You're the criminal here. You think you're the victim? Lily's stomach twisted. She could hardly believe the selfishness unraveling before her. Shut up. She yelled, turning back to the gunman, her heart pounding. Ignore him. What if I told you I'd listen? I want to hear your story. The gunman's gaze flickered back to her, hesitation battling his rage. At that moment, the tension was palpable. Would he see her offer as genuine or another trap? Before anyone could react, a sharp sound echoed through the room like thunder striking too close for comfort. The sirens outside seemed to fade, lost against the sudden chaos of a deafening explosion. The room shook, lights flickered, and gasps filled the air. Time stood still. What had just happened? Lily's head spun as debris rained down from the ceiling. The gunman's expression changed at once from tense to horrified. Was that a gunshot? Someone screamed, heart-stopping urgency washing over them all. In that second, the walls they had built were shattered. Would this force them into a brutal battle or provide the distraction needed for a greater escape? Lily stood frozen, the implications hanging suspended, waiting for another surge toward calamity or hope. But she knew one thing, the resolution was just beginning, and even in the chaos, truth had a way of bursting forth in the most unexpected ways. What would that truth look like for each of them? The room trembled, and the ceiling sagged under the weight of dust and chaos. Lily's heart raced. The gunman's wild gaze darted around, and for a moment, she thought he'd snap back into the frenzy. The explosion had shattered more than just the ceiling, it had cracked the fragile thread holding them all together. Stay down. Officer Collins yelled, his voice cutting through the panic. He instinctively shielded the closest hostages with his body as pieces of plaster rained down. Get them out. A voice shouted from the doorway, more officers pouring in like a stampede, their faces pale and grim. Panic ignited around them. The gunman stepped back, vulnerability swallowed once more by anger. You all want to shoot me? He shouted, the shaking gun a stark reminder of his resolve. Then just do it. You think you know pain. The CEO's bravado evaporated, leaving only a trembling shell of a man. No, don't do this. He cried, voice unsteady. This will end badly for all of us. Lily seized on this moment of chaos. No. She stepped forward despite the risk. Listen to me. We're all trapped in this, every one of us. You don't have to take more lives to be heard. The gunman turned to her, eyes narrowing as if searching for sincerity. Why do you care? His voice trembled, the weapon wavering. Because this isn't just about you or them. It's about all of us feeling unheard. I get it. She held his gaze, pouring every ounce of her desperation into her voice. You feel invisible, but we can change that, we can change things together. A low growl of outrage from the CEO cut through. What do you think you're doing? He is a criminal. You're not helping. Lily shot back, looking back at the gunman. Ignore him. Tell me what happened to you. You said they took your life. What if you could reclaim it right now? The air thickened with his hesitation. Dark shadows danced across his face. They destroyed everything, my family, friends, I lost everything. Then let me help you, Lily whispered, holding her breath. Let me be part of your story. Let us help you find justice. His hold on the weapon faltered, revealing cracks in his walls. Years of anguish twisted his expression as though she had opened a door to a dormant storm. But just when he seemed to sway, the phone in his pocket buzzed violently, pulling him back to a reality he had tried to escape. Stop! The gunman shouted, backing away, gun tight in hand. No more games. I want answers. I can get answers for you, Collins offered, stepping towards him slowly, weaving himself into the conversation. You deserve to be heard, I'll make sure your voice matters again. Just put down the gun. Outside, the shrieking of sirens grew closer. Time was slipping. The gunman's face twisted with rage and uncertainty as if a war were raging inside him. Lily pushed back against the swelling tide of despair. You can take this moment into your own hands. This is your chance. Suddenly, amid the chaos, a new sound echoed through the air, heavy boots storming in tight formation. Officers were moving in, prepping shields and weapons, and Lily felt a wave of dread wash over her. Would this flare up into violence? Time's nearly up, a calm voice warned from behind the crowd. A higher-ranking officer leaned into the fray, her heart sank. The tension in the air twisted, this could escalate into chaos. What will it be? Lily pressed, mind racing. Do you want to end this here in fear, or will you break down these walls and start a new chapter? The gunman's entire being hung in the balance, caught between anger, pain, and an unfamiliar flicker of hope. But before he could respond, another explosion erupted outside, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. Windows shattered, and the officers braced against the impact. Now! Shouted Officer Collins, we need to move. In that moment of unbridled chaos, Lily felt the gunman's sorrow, could almost touch the raw edges of his heartache. But would it be enough to tip the scales away from violence? Would he choose strength or destruction? Outside, the world continued to unravel at its seams, unknown threats lurking just beyond the walls. As each second bled into the next, the resolution hung like a storm cloud, heavy and charged. What would happen when the walls finally crumbled? Could hope emerge from the chaos, or was their fate sealed in the darkness that loomed just out of view? The gunman's focus darted toward each corner of the room, the chaos swirling around him, thickening the air like smoke. His breath came in ragged gasps, reflecting the turmoil within. What was that? He demanded, the weight of uncertainty gripping him tighter than his grip on the gun. Lily's heart pounded as she took a cautious step forward, urgency igniting inside her. She could sense it, the moment teetering on the edge of a knife. It was just the world trying to get in. Don't let it distract you. Shut up! He shouted, eyes flaring with desperation. You have no idea what I've lost. No, she yelled back, her own fear now wrapped in determination, but you can still gain something. Officer Collins began inching to the side, keeping his eyes on the gunman while subtly trying to position himself closer to Lily. Every second felt like an eternity, the wailing sirens amplifying the panic that crackled through the room. Then the phone buzzed again. With a jerky motion, he pulled it out, glancing at the screen. His expression shifted, confusion feeding into his wrath. Why won't you just leave me alone? He muttered, shaking as if battling a storm within. They're trying to help. Collins interjected, his voice steady yet firm. You don't want what's coming for you if you pull that trigger. Let us talk. The gunman hesitated, eyes flicking back between Lily and Collins, the turmoil in his heart battling his instincts to lash out. Then he froze, the phone vibrating again, more insistently this time. What if they've come for me? He mumbled to himself, his thoughts spiraling. Who? Lily asked, cutting through the doubt clouding his mind. We can help you. We want to help you. The gunman's gaze sharpened. You don't know what they'll do if they find me. They won't care about what's fair, only about ending me. They always win. Not this time, Collins said, his voice low but fierce. We can turn this around. But you have to trust us. Lily felt her throat tighten. You're not alone in this. You don't have to fight them by yourself. Suddenly, he seemed to waver, lowering the gun just a fraction. That flicker of hope ignited within Lily. Could she reach him after all? But the moment was shattered by a fresh wave of chaos. Outside the door burst open, and a group of reinforcements stormed in, weapons raised. Hands up! Get down! They shouted, and the air thickened with fear. Wait! Collins cried, his voice rising over the commotion. Stop! We have a hostage situation here. The gunman's panic flared up again, every muscle tensing. Get away from me! He screamed, brandishing the weapon wildly. Instinctively, Lily ducked, and in that split second, something shifted. A blinding light erupted from the shattered windows, illuminating the chaos in stark, terrifying detail. The gunman's hand trembled as he struggled between his anger and the growing fear of losing control. Please, don't. Lily's heart raced as she reached desperately for the part of him that still felt. You can choose peace. Isn't that why you're still standing here? He faltered, eyes glistening with uncertainty. It was clear he wanted to fight, but even clearer that he wanted to be free of this pain, this weight pressing down on him. Would he find the strength to drop the gun, to choose a different path? Just then, an unexpected sound cut through the cacophony. A child's cry echoed from outside, innocent and pitiful in contrast to the chaos inside. The gunman froze, and for the first time, real anguish crossed his face. What have I done? He whispered, barely audible over the tumult. But before anyone could react, one of the officers bolted toward him. We're taking you down. No! Collins shouted. Don't make him feel cornered. The gunman took a step back, fear flickering in his eyes as he weighed his choices. Would he lash out to protect himself, or would that child's cry call him back to humanity? Lily held her breath, every heartbeat marking time beneath the tension. Would compassion triumph over chaos? As they hovered on the cusp of resolution, the world outside pressed closer, a haunting reminder of what was at stake. And as the walls felt even closer, the real question loomed like an impending storm. Would someone from inside this room find a way to safety, or would the echo of fear shatter them all? The gunman's breath hitched, the gun trembling in his grip as he glanced from the officers to Lily, uncertainty etching deep lines across his face. Time seemed to stall, the chaos outside fading into a distant murmur. All that mattered was this moment. The weight of life and death hung in the air like a live wire. Please, Collins urged, his hands raised cautiously. We're not here to hurt you. Just take a step back. The gunman's body swayed, caught between fear and despair. What if I don't want to go back? He rasped, eyeing the officers who now seemed more like a tightening noose than a safety net. What if they find me anyway? What if he trailed off, the gun pointed dangerously low, the tremors in his hands conveying a mix of panic and loss? Lily could see it, the battle raging within him. He was a man on the edge, ready to leap either way. The child's cry pierced the air again, echoing like a siren. Collins pressed on, his voice grave yet inviting. You're right to be scared. But don't let those fears drive you to do something you can't take back. You still have a choice. A sudden sound banged loudly outside the scaffold from the nearby construction site, clattering down under the weight of a fallen branch. The gunman twitched, every nerve on high alert. It was madness out there. But here was a flicker of sanity, however fragile. Just one more chance, he whispered, tears pooling in his eyes. What's the point of it all? They'll always win. Lily stepped forward, defying the danger, every instinct screaming at her to back off. "You have to fight for yourself," she shouted, tears burning at the edges of her vision. "No one else can do this for you. But you can. For the child. For you. You deserve a chance at life." He shifted, battling the tide of anguish and flickering hope. "I never wanted this," he said, voice cracking as the gun lowered. The muscles in his arm trembled dangerously close to surrender. "I didn't choose this path." But before any resolution could blossom, another officer screamed from the back. "Move! Move!" A flurry of chaos erupted as more officers spilled into the room, their presence drumming a new rhythm of dread. "Stand down!" Collins barked, but the panic had set in like a wildfire. The gunman's eyes widened in horror. "No! Stay back!" He screamed, backpedaling as if he were cornered by wolves. Lily felt her heart drop. He was slipping away again, ready to plunge deeper into despair rather than welcome the outstretched hands. A standoff blossomed tense and anticipatory, like a tightrope about to snap. Collins motioned to his team, but no one moved. Every soul in the room was frozen, teetering on the brink of catastrophe. "Don't do this!" Collins bellowed, but a flicker of recognition crossed the gunman's eyes. With a violent shout, he took another step back. He was no longer just a man with a gun, he was backed into an abyss of fear, uncertainty, and past scars. "Please!" Lily cried out, reaching out towards him. "You're not the only one with something to lose." His body trembled, the gun aimed at the ground, then wavering back toward them. Heated sweat dripped from his brow as he fought the urge to either collapse or retaliate in fury, and then, in that moment, a louder bang resonated from the door less than 10 feet away, a heavy fist thundering against wood. "We have to move!" Someone shouted, the urgency igniting yet another wave of madness. "Go, go, go!" The gunman's expression twisted with panic, a caged animal trying to escape the encroaching threat. Lily's heart raced. Desperation surged within her. "Just drop it!" she shouted, the lump in her throat nearly suffocating her resolve. "Please! You'll still have time to turn this around." He halted, eyes darting between her and the door, the primal instinct to flee battling against the flicker of humanity she saw in him, a single spark of hope against a backdrop of despair. "What's more terrifying," he gasped, "what I've done or what I'll do next?" As the situation escalated, she realized that the choice was now before him. And in that charged silence, with instincts screaming for resolution, the stakes were higher than ever. Would this moment spark redemption or ignite destruction? The answer lay in his trembling hands, but what he would choose hung heavy in the air, and then it happened. A shot rang out from outside, a deafening crack that shattered everything. Who would be left standing when the dust settled? The gunman's eyes widened, and the weight of the world seemed to crash around him. The shot echoed through the office as if time had split in two before and after. Lily's heart stopped, the room turned into a kaleidoscope of chaos. The gunman jerked, his grip on the weapon faltering. In that moment, fear twisted into a painful fright, each breath a struggle against impending doom. "Stay down!" Officer Collins shouted, ducking behind the closest desk, determination etched on his face. But Lily couldn't move. She was anchored to the moment, the chaos swirling around her like a storm. The gunman stared down the barrel, trembling with uncertainty, his anger battling the echoes of his pain. "Don't shoot!" Lily called out, instinctively stepping forward, desperate to reach him. "You don't have to do this, none of this." She felt like she was shouting into the void, but somewhere deep inside her, she held on to the flicker of hope. "You can let it go. You can choose something different." His eyes darted around, searching for understanding in the wreckage of emotions and noise. "What's the point?" he breathed, voice cracking under the weight of too much loss. "What's left for me?" The question hung heavy, and in that split second, he looked almost human, lost in a sea of betrayal and despair. "Your life!" she cried, desperation slicing through the tension like a knife. You can change it. You can be free. Another bang echoed from outside, the cacophony of voices and sirens crescendoing in a frightening symphony. It pushed the gunman closer to the edge, fueling the chaos bubbling within him. As he shifted on his feet, time seemed to slow as the shadows in his eyes deepened, and he wavered between his demons and the possibility of liberation. Please, for the sake of that child outside, drop the gun. Lily's voice was raw but filled with resolve, the fear mixing with a brave heartbeat. This moment can be your chance to rewrite your story. The room pulsed with anticipation, the officers holding their breaths, ready to spring into action. And then, in an instant, the gunman's expression shifted. Something profound sparked in his eyes, a desperate glimmer breaking through the storm clouds of fury. He swallowed hard, the tension enveloping him like a shroud. Maybe, he whispered, a tremor threading through his fingers. Maybe I don't want to be trapped anymore. The gun lowered slightly, a tremor of resolution brushing against the depths of despair. Everything fell silent, as if the universe had paused to witness a miracle. Then choose to be free, Lily breathed, heart hammering against her chest like a beating drum. Let go. Just let go. He took a deep, shaking breath, glancing at the steel door, then to Lily, whose eyes sparked with empathy and sincerity. In that heartbeat, possibility blossomed. He stepped back, weapon trembling against his own turmoil. All it took was one moment of courage, a split second to release his grip on darkness and choose something else, and then he dropped it. The sound of the weapon clattering to the ground echoed through the office like a gunshot itself, reverberating into the fragile silence. The weight of the world shifted, the burden lifted. Move in. Collins barked, firm yet cautious as officers surged forward. But the air was different, electric with fragile hope. Lily felt a wave of relief sweep through her, but it was intertwined with the knowledge that healing would take time. The gunman fell to his knees, breath hitching in despair and relief, the raging storm inside finally quieting. Tears streamed down, mingling with the dust from above, his pain laid bare before them. You heard me, he stuttered through sobs, the weight of his words tripping into the silence. Why did I fight this? Because you felt unheard for too long, Lily said softly, kneeling beside him. But it's never too late to turn back and find peace. As officers ushered the situation under control, the room began to breathe once more, the heavy atmosphere lifting even while the past hung like a shroud over each of them. Lily turned towards the team, exchanging relieved glances with Officer Collins, who met her gaze with a grateful nod. There was gratitude and hope both flickering as they emerged into the light, leaving chaos behind. The gunman was being led away, but this was just the beginning for him. Redemption was not immediate, it was the unfolding path ahead, and Lily felt the exhilaration of their shared moment, a connection that transcended fear and hopelessness. She had chosen courage, and it had become contagious. Hey, she called as he disappeared down the hallway, finding his eyes once more. You're not alone in this fight for a better life. You just have to keep moving forward. As the door closed behind him, her heart surged with a swell of hope. In a world where shadows often loomed, there was still light, a small beacon beckoning from the horizon. Lily stepped into the fresh air outside, the weight of the night shifting from her shoulders. She could breathe. The crowd buzzed with grateful disbelief, stories intertwined like vines, the hope now blossoming, illuminating the path ahead. There was healing in this moment, a newfound understanding that echoed with every heartbeat. Lily smiled, knowing the journey wasn't over, it was just beginning. The world still turned, waiting for those ready to embrace it. As she walked away, determination gripped her heart, igniting the fire she hadn't realized had been flickering inside. She was not just a maid anymore, she was someone who dared to rewrite her narrative and perhaps inspire others to turn their pages too. Remember this moment, because change was possible, one choice at a time. But here's the truth, you need to subscribe now. Show your support and don't miss out on the next incredible stories that will redefine what we believe. Smash that like button now if you love tales of courage and resilience, and flood the comments with your reactions and theories about what Lily will do next. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need a boost of hope in their lives. Together, we can create a community that thrives on inspiration. Every action counts, and only true fans understand the power of supporting the channel through these actions.